the regional dominance that's being attempted by Iran, everyone talking about the head of the snake being Iran, the Iranian regime, while at the same time, the population of Iran generally has a much more moderate history. We talked about how Lebanon was once Paris of the Middle East and has since gone more extreme, similar to Iran being behind all of this. So,
The IRGC.
what's that?
The IRGC.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that in terms of if that's where the real battle is taking place? Because it seems like it's really that Iran has been at war with Israel for 30 years and been funding proxies all around Israel. People talk about that in the abstract, but you're kind of plugged into
This
this.
is my
from that side.
favorite topic. It's one of my favorite topics.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
sovereignty versus caliphate. Iran has held on to the idea of establishing a caliphate in which it sits on top of the caliphate, including Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, etc., including the Gulf states. And the Gulf states, and then the reason for that is because they're religious extremists.
Imam, bringing it
IRGC, they're religious extremists, the imams, the whole nine. Saudi Arabia,
back. RAGC, say that again.
IRGC, the Iranian
Republic?
Revolutionary Corps,
Guard,
whatever,
yeah,
the crazies.
Yeah.
And Saudi Arabia, UAE, they don't want that. They want Saudi Arabia. He doesn't want not to be the king of Saudi Arabia. He doesn't want not to be the king of UAE. He likes the sovereignty that was given with the Ottoman Empire and the sovereignty of states of Lebanon, of Syria. This is why the UAE accepted Assad to the Arab League last year, even after everything he did. They want to...
There's no notion of a caliphate on the Sunni side?
Sure there is. I don't know if there is or is not. I'll be honest on that. But I can tell you it's not actively being pursued as much as the IRGC is trying to actively pursue it. So for them, destabilizing Israel, the first domino piece to fall, and then the remainder of the Middle East. I mean, don't forget Syria and Lebanon fought a war because Syria did not agree that Lebanon should even exist with its own borders. Syria said this entire area is Syria.
Right. So that's a state acting against another state, but what does that have to do with Iran, the Syria-Lebanon thing? You're saying it's more in line with what?
Syria and Iran are linked.
No,
They're not. But they fought a war. Now they have their sovereignty. Iran wants all these sovereignties to fall.
Yes.
And so it's putting its hands in every single one. In Lebanon, it put Hezbollah. In Syria, it has its people. In Gaza, it has this. So once they can grow, and look what Hezbollah did. It took over the the Lebanese government.
And they co-opt the Palestinian resistance cause, even though Hamas is technically Sunni, because they want to just destabilize the region.
Yeah.
So that they could eventually... Because I always found that very confusing. Because I know that Hamas is technically a Sunni.
They're going to be on top.
But they're funded by Iran. And it's all kind of messy, but
I think they're Shiite.
Yeah?
I mean, I don't personally know, but the reason I assume that is because they have black and blue in the middle of their head. And the only ones that actually do that are Shiites because they bow down directly onto Iraq when they pray.
I see.
And so it causes a
mark. Oh, is that I didn't
a mark?
know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No idea.
You knew there was Sunni and Shia Islam, Michael.
I know that. Yeah, of course. I just don't know the.
I didn't know that difference.
Anything.
So yeah, Iran just wants to rule over everything, and the Gulf states don't want that. They want their success, and because success is the motivator to peace, they're willing to work with Israel.
Right.
They're willing to modernize and keep that religious, whatever it may say in their text, to their heart, to themselves, and in action and in doing, try to go in a different direction. Now, could it backstab us? Could it backfire on us? Sure.
But what's interesting is
what
theologically, it sounds like Iran is more committed on a theological level, yet their population is much more moderate.
100%.
Because if you look at pictures of grandparents from Iran during the time of the Shah, it was a much more modern secular society.
Also, Syria was pretty modern before, and Lebanon is okay.
How does the regression happen? How does it sustain when you see protests in the street of Iran, people refusing to step on the Israeli flag? There's chants in soccer fields. I've seen clips of condemning Hamas. So in terms of optimism, where do I place my optimism? Is it with the pan-Arab? Is it with the Arab and Gulf states? Is it with Iran in terms of where Israel can have better relations?
I think Israel can have strong relations with the Gulf Arab states, but I think they need to be careful, not to be too trusting, not to be too nice. and to always be honest, not to bend to satisfy them or to appease them in any way, shape, or form, but to be straight with who they are. And I think they will get respect and they will have a better shot at peace because those countries want success. They want money. They didn't build Dubai because it says it in the Quran, right? Why'd they build Dubai? Because their oil was starting to fleet from under the ground because oil moves, and they know that in a certain amount of years, they're going to run out of oil. If they run out of oil or the oil moves away from their territories, they lose a main source of income for their country. How are they going to survive? They built this entire island of Dubai to counter that exact problem, which tells you success is more important than anything else to them. Because think about what's allowed in Dubai. Drinking, walking around without a head covering. These are all mandates, by the way, in the Quran. You're not allowed to drink in the Quran. It doesn't say you can't drink unless you're in a 5-star hotel in the Jumeirah in Dubai, right? Like, you cannot drink. You cannot walk without a covered hair, just like in Judaism, by the way, as well. We can't do that.
No, theocracy is different than religious.
They keep it in. Keep it in your heart. Whatever you believe, God bless you. But when you act like a normal human being that lives in 2024.
Right.
And where does Qatar fit into that?
Qatar is just a bunch of terrorists.